Number 1 of this series. Those are totally not the team names. You guys talk about the team names, though.
Well, we are going to be seeing the the bands in the first pick come through very quickly, as it is going to be the Adagio and Lance band away. That's another kind of surprise ban. And then Lyra being first picked, and there's the Finn and Vox going over. Saw and Sky. These teams definitely know what they want to play.
I think Look At Me is kind of reversing to norm. He's got Petal and Saw. Those are kind of the things that he can play pretty effectively without having to worry too much. So Saw makes a lot of sense here. Araxi on the Sky. I like the Lance ban. However, I feel Sasiska is strong on enough heroes for it not to be too effective. Yes, you are banning out the core Lance as well, but Sasiska really known for his Lance play, and it's actually going to be a Kestrel pickup here finally, so expect to see the jungle Kestrel, weapon power, maybe even Crystal Vox going into the lane, and then you just... in all honesty, I expect to see a double weapon power build coming out here from Angry Pandas, and then building into that Kestrel who has a bit of crystal power near the end.
Yeah, well, I would expect that as well. It definitely makes sense, but we'll have to see what they do decide to go with. Dino Egg has been one of the really strong carries for Angry Pandas, so we'll have to keep our eye on that. We've actually seen Dino Egg play the Kestrel quite a bit, but this time it is going to be going over into Daener's hands. We'll see what he can do. Meanwhile, over on the other side, it looks like we are going to be starting off with Araxi as a crystal bit, so Crystal Sky. We'll wait to see what Look At Me is going to do with this Summer Party Saw. See if his Super Soaker is going to be throwing out the weapon damage or the crystal damage, but we'll have to hold off and see that once he goes down to the shop for the first time, because he's just starting off with that book.
The way Snow Tsunami play, I expect it to be a weapon power, but thinking about it hypothetically, I really like crystal power as part of the build, because you have Sasiska who can Arcane Passage and get you into the middle of the fray, so you can roadie run, take the Arcane Passage, stab someone, jump back, and it just means that you're able to get onto that backline even easier. It is going to be weapon power, and for Snow Tsunami, that makes the most sense. Look At Me is just their laner. He doesn't even roam a lot of the time. It's just like, yeah, I'll stick in lane, I'll push up this lane, keep pushing up, and trying to deny the enemy laner from ever getting into the fights, and then they let Araxi and Sasiska actually do most of the work from the jungle.
And you see he did jump down to the shop, grabbed himself a weapon blade, so that pretty much confirms it. And just going to be working on farming up the lane. Leia will be spending a lot of time in the lane with Dino Egg. That's also another very common thing we see with Angry Pandas, just in general, but especially if Leia is on this Finn, as he's not standing in the bush. So...
Sometimes it's hard, you know, Bone Cruncher Finn is massive. Sometimes I really wonder about these bushes, because they have to be hundreds of meters tall to hide that Finn, you know? Finn is huge. Look at how big his character model is as well. Anyway, Leia is going to take a huge amount of damage from the 4 Barrage. Imperial Sigil down as well. Right, Bulwark's used, and Leia will be the first person to fall in these series. Snow Tsunami already getting the ball rolling with 1 kill.
Yeah, so first kill going over. Dino Egg going to be eating quite a bit of damage as well from that suppressing fire. We'll see what kind of pressure Snow can get onto this first turret. One of the things I'd love to mention is when there is a Saw, you usually want to try and get that first turret down by the 5 to 6 minute mark or so. And if you don't, generally it does mean that the Saw is going to be falling off, because usually it means that you haven't been able to get the advantages that you've been looking for in the lane. Obviously, there are exceptions to that rule, but we'll see. It's right now been some solid pressure being put out in the jungle by the side of Snow Tsunami.
It's exactly what you want to see from Snow Tsunami as well. You've got the ability with Imperial Sigil to spot out bushes pretty easily. You don't need to get anywhere near them to see if there's anyone standing there. You've got good sustain with that as well. You have 4 Barrage to clear out camps, and if you can just deny a bunch from the enemy heroes, it really gets you rolling quite well. Daener on this Kestrel needs quite a lot of farm. It's going to be weapon power first, which is what we expected to see, but actually going to be Crystal Vox coming out in the lane. Is that what I said? No, I said double weapon power. So once again, Sona's wrong with his predictions, but Crystal Power Vox into a Saw who's very immobile makes a lot of sense with the Resonance Bouncers.
Yeah, well, with the immobile Saw, but a very mobile Sky, it can be tough to, perhaps take down the entire team. But like you said, those Resonance Bounces bouncing off of Lyra can definitely be hitting Look At Me, or bouncing off of Look At Me and hitting Sasiska. There's plenty of options when these fights do start happening. We'll have to see how Snow decide to position themselves around that. But for now, just again, trying to put pressure onto this turret, getting a little bit of damage down onto it. Not quite enough to make a huge impact. It's taken about a little over a quarter of its health, but now that's suppressing fire. Because there's so much pressure on the lane, it is going to make it that little bit harder for Dino Egg to farm up.
That it is. Actually, we do see Denier getting caught out a little bit by Araxi here. Manages to take the camp. We'll heal him up just a little bit. Did he actually get that? Or did, looks like Araxi may have taken it.
Araxi actually got it.
Yeah. Denier gets taken out, though. Absolutely melted away by Sasiska, and now Dino Egg having to retreat away. Leia's going to step in a scout trap, and that will just cause more pain on top of all of the damage that's coming out from Araxi. Imperial Sigil comes down as well. Leia has no escape. Araxi's going to get his second kill of this matchup.
Yeah, so 2 kills going over off of that skirmish means 3 total for Snow. And now look at me. He is in the lane, taking down that turret. 4 minutes, 45 seconds,
wow.
And a huge burst with that roadie run, finding the kill. Some great plays by Look at Me. Now he's going to be going down. Denier finding himself the opportunity to get a kill on the board for Angry Pandas.
At the moment, it looks like Snow Tsunami's games to lose. They're almost 2,000 gold ahead already. They've got the Fountain on Sasiska. They've got Crystal Power already building up onto Araxi. I'd like to see Shatterglass first on Araxi. I think it makes the most sense. Although Frostburn into a Vox and into a Kestrel can work out pretty well as well. And then you've already got a Sorrow Blade picked up on Look at Me. So Snow Tsunami in a wonderful position to be able to close out this game and continue their streak in the Evil 8.
Well, we'll have to see, because the one thing about the Weapon Saw is while you can just really shove down the turrets and do a ton of damage that way, get your team a nice big solid lead, if you can't close out the game early, it can start to really seriously fall off because he is so immobile and can have some trouble getting around in the fights. But right now you can see Araxi doing some serious damage with that forward barrage. I definitely agree with you. I'd like to see it be a Shatterglass, if only because I wouldn't want to see the Frostburn, because there's already enough slows from his allies. You have a slow on Lyra, you have a slow on the Saw as well, so I don't think the Frostburn would really be that great of a pickup.
Yeah, Shatterglass is what we tend to see coming out first from Skies as well. Already denying that middle camp and the front camp here from AngryPandasBlack. And it's actually a Frostburn. As soon as we say we'd like to see something else, he picks up the Frostburn. Look at Me, unable to get a suppressing fire on a stationary target. Obviously a lot more difficult than when the enemy's moving. One shot, one kill will not take the gold mine away. And it's a decent gold payout for Tsunami. It looks like Angry Pandas won the fight here, but Death from Above will lock out Leia. And there is the forward barrage as well. Dino Egg doesn't get the Sonic Zoom across the wall. Spells his Sonic Doom and he will fall. Snow Tsunami now 6-1 up.
Yeah, Snow Tsunami really just starting to keep this pressure up and do some serious work and damage to Angry Pandas, picking up that gold miner as well. Now they're pushing it onto this turret. All 3 members with just a single person there to defend. This turret should be going down. Weapon Saw just doing so much work. Now they can look for a fight. The forward barrage is off the mark, just slightly misangled by Araxi, but 2 turrets down in 7 minutes with a gold mine going over. That means we have a 4,000 gold lead at 7 minutes.
Absolutely huge gold lead already for Snow Tsunami, and they've got the ability to lock out these fights. They're zone controlled. You know, forward barrage and suppressing fire, you need to make sure you're not crossing those streams, but getting them close enough to funnel teams into a position where you can put the Death from Above down is incredibly powerful. Snow Tsunami at this moment have everything they need to be able to win out this game.
Well, that's gonna be their plan. Just continue to put pressure on, starve out Angry Pandas, and not allow them anything. You can see they're already kind of relegated to staying in the lane. They can't even duck down into the jungle or anything like that because of this lane being constantly pushed up. That's going to be forced cord, but it gets blocked. Beautiful Crucible there from Sasiska. And Look at Me, having the confidence in his roamer, didn't even use his own reflex block.
that's just part of the synergy that Snow Tsunami have from having played together for so long. They're looking for this third turret. They should be able to take it down. Death from above comes out, and look at me, he's just going to keep with the mad cannon. Look at me, will go low here. Rhodey runs his way away and then can put the suppressing fire down again. I don't think one shot, one kill actually connected on towards the saw there. I think it was a little bit too high, and so Snow Tsunami were able to get out without any casualties.
Yeah, 3 turrets destroyed, 8.5 minutes in. Gold lead just continuing to grow and build, up at 6,000 gold now, 9 minutes in. This is just really not working out for Angry Pandas. This early pressure that Snow was able to put out is just a little too much for them to overcome. We'll see if they can defend their final 2 turrets. Those are the most difficult turrets to get onto because, well, there's 2 of them. And that's where you can sort of stall out a saw push comp and you find your way back into the game. But it's definitely not going to be an easy task.
Not at all, but this is the quickest advantage we've seen thus far today. 10 minutes in, this is almost Team Secret-esque demolition of the opponents. They're 7,000 gold up, or 6,500 gold. They've already got those 2 items, Spikes, Broken Myth, Frostburn completed. You've got the Aegis and the Sorrow Blade, and starting to look towards the Serpent's Mask on Look at Me. So Siska already got the Crucible and the Fountain. They're so far ahead. Daenerys going to get caught out once again. Forward Barrage comes down. Arcane Passage used by Siska to get into the middle of it all. And so Tsunami pick up another kill.
And there's going to be following this one up another slow from over the wall. Araxi using that Surrey Strike to get into position, and they're just going to be pushing in. They find another kill into Leia. Now they have this minion wave pushing in. Dino Egg has to use his ult to try and farm it out, but they're close enough to break the barriers on the turrets, and that means one of them is destroyed. Snow Tsunami are just on a tear.
That they are on an absolute rampage in this game. Tsunami showing us what they can do, something we haven't really seen far in the last split of the Evil 8. Daenerys will take a huge amount of pain from the Mad Cannon and from the auto attacks coming out from, it wasn't even Mad Cannon, it was just the Principal Arcanum used by Siska, that heroic perk doing absolute work. And now Snow Tsunami will back away once again. I was going to say they could get back towards the Kraken because that's kind of the time period it feels like it is, but we're only 11 minutes into this game.
Yeah, Kraken is still 4 minutes away, and Snow Tsunami already have Angry Pandas down to just a single turret left to defend their crystal. And I mean, the way that's been going, there's now the Atlas Pauldron finally getting finished by Leia, but he rushed it as the second item, and normally 11 minutes for a second item isn't too bad, but when you're this far back and your opposing laner has 3 items, that just kind of is telling of the way that the game's gone.
Snow Tsunami want the fight. Death from above is going to come down. Dino Egg just surviving off towards the side. Leia is that frontline tank, but you get taken low again.
Oh, I think we may have just lost Sona, but there is going to be the fight continuing, and Leia will go down alongside with Daenerys. It is just Dino Egg left, but another minion wave is coming in. Snow can look to take the final turret right now at 12 minutes, and at that point there's nothing to stop them from going for this crystal. You can see, look at me with this damage. There's the death from above coming down onto it, and in 12 minutes flat, Snow Tsunami pick up game number 1. That was just absolute control, playing the Saw push composition to perfection.
Well, I mean, we see Saw as a ban every now and then, and Snow Tsunami, they definitely have history on their side when it comes to defeating Angry Pandas.
Yeah, Snow Tsunami has, I mean, we talked about that. We also talked about the fact that, you know, we maybe thought Snow Tsunami is...
Anyway, the Lance ban already coming out from Angry Pandas Black. They need something. They need something to get back into this, because that first composition did not work for them at all.
Yeah. Well, the first composition definitely didn't work, and you have to wonder how much of it was that Saw. Saw was allowed through again, but we'll see if Tsunami want to pick that up once more. They won't have the Lyra to go along with it. And was that the integral part of the Saw comp, or will they go for it again? Is what we'll have to find out. It looks like they are not going to go and take it.
No, they're not. It's going to be the Finn and the Sky being locked up here for Snow Tsunami. The Lyra on the side of Angry Pandas Black. Now, the question is next, what do you pick if you're Angry Pandas Black? What's your decision here? What do you need?
Well, I mean, they're going to be taking this glaive, and I feel like they really need just either a really hard carry or someone super tanky. It looks like they're going to go for try and get that hard carry box.
Hard carry box indeed, with glaive as well, gives them a bit of early pressure. And once again, look at me going for the Saw and the Sky as well on towards Araxi. So exactly the same composition, apart from the Lyra being switched out for the Finn on the side of Snow Tsunami. The question is, can this glaive manage to shut down Look at Me in the lane?
Well, that's gonna be the question, and it's gonna be the Saw. With this Saw, I just don't know. I mean, Look at Me did so well on it. Glaive does do extremely well against the Saw. You can get in and get that massive amounts of burst with the afterburn, but it's just, I don't know, after how well Look at Me played in game number 1, it's gonna be a tough one for Pandas.
It definitely is. We are on to the Halcyon Fold. It's 1-0 up for Snow Tsunami as they look to keep their position in the Evil 8 for the next split and for the live championships. Angry Pandas have a lot to prove, and they weren't really able to do it in the first game.
They absolutely were not. I mean, 12 minutes is, you'd normally say typically it's not enough to prove anything, but Snow Tsunami, they were able to prove quite a bit in those 12 minutes, and they're going to be looking for a repeat performance.
Yeah, it's enough to prove something if you beat the other team in 12 minutes. I think that's a given. It's like saying 5 minutes isn't enough to prove something. Well, at 5 minutes in that game, Snow Tsunami are about 3,000 gold ahead, so they're in a superb position to close that out. And once again, they look for a bit of early pressure. Look at Me is actually coming round with his entire team here to try and flank on towards Denir and Dino Egg. We'll spot them out with a flare. Look at Me will get spotted out in return, but Denir's going to jump in with the afterburn. Look at Me will take some pain, tries to roadie run away, and does just about escape. Leia off towards the side. There is the fortified health from the Polite Company. Actually, Look at Me steps forward to see if he can put some pressure down onto Dino Egg. He's going to take those minions away. First Blood once again goes across towards Snow Tsunami.
And that's just Snow saying, oh, you want to make ganks from the jungle with this glaive onto the lane? How about we just do it before you have an opportunity to? And meanwhile, it is going to be a kill going over to Araxi as he picks up Leia. And this entire jungle is going to be stolen away as well. Look at Me still farming from the opponent's mustache brush. That is just a really aggressive positioning, but because of the kills they picked up, he didn't have to worry about it, and it gets all of his minions and gets back down to the shop to go ahead and get some more weapon power under his belt, and another strong start for Snow Tsunami.
Yeah, the good thing about that position as well is it forces Dino Egg to take damage from minions, because he has to pull the minions away so that he's not in an awful position, because otherwise Sasiska could just run in and try and stun him up. So Dino Egg actually taking quite a lot of pain just from the minions there, and only has one Halcyon Potion available left in the lane. Does, of course, have that Book of Eulogies to try and keep himself a little bit more sustained. All three members of AngryPandasBlack are looking for something here on towards Sasiska, but they're not going to be able to do much. Their jungle still hasn't come back to life, and it will just start about now, so they should be able to go and take some of those camps away again.
That's exactly what they're going to look to do, I would assume, but no, maybe they're not going to go aggressively into the jungle just yet, using these flares to scout out, find that little bit of vision that had been put down, or at least eventually, there you go, Araxi, third time's the charm. But they, again, the lead that they're able to pick up, it's nowhere near as sizable as it was in game number 1, but it's still about a 500 gold lead or so for Tsunami to start things off.
It's a good lead for them, and already Look at Me, it's actually going to take a huge amount of pain. This might be the first kill for AngryPandasBlack. They do manage to take down Look at Me, who was just not in a good position at all after burned in by Denir. So that's a good kill for AngryPandasBlack. Araxi will come up and hold this lane though, so they're not going to be able to get too much damage down onto the turret.
Yeah, and they're also not going to lose too much because the majority of the jungle had been farmed out by Araxi.
Ooh, Dino Egg! Will he survive? Suri strikes in, and Araxi actually picks up the kill. That was an impressive play. The Quibble doing most of the work from Sasiska, but Araxi was able to Suri strike in and solidify it for his team.
Yeah, that's got to be really demoralizing if you're Dino Egg, to know that you guys just got a kill, and slowing down the push. You've been holding on pretty well, and then all of a sudden Araxi just goes aggressive on you when you aren't really expecting it and picks up the kill. It's tough to come back mentally from such a quick loss like they suffered in game number 1. but that's the task that Angry Pandas need to do here. Down 1-3 in game number 2. Again, another strong start for Tsunami, but at least for Pandas, they're not at this point. You know, they were already starting to fall really far behind. And the first turret was going down in just a couple seconds from now previously, but again, Araxi finding a kill in the jungle.
Yep, just taking away all of Danir's jungle and then taking away his life as well is already a 10 creep advantage, 10 monster advantage for Araxi there. He's 4-0, picked up all the kills for his team. Snow Tsunami have got this ball rolling once again. We're almost 5 minutes in. They're 1,300 gold ahead. They're picking up their first item spikes, and AngryPandasBlack do not look comfortable against this Snow Tsunami squad.
Minion candy picked up by Sosiska. That's a sign that they are going to try and push this turret. We'll see if they can get it, because that's again, we're nearing that. We're at the 5-minute mark. This is where Saw really wants to try and take that first turret down. I would expect Araxi to just clear out his backs and then rotate up to the lane so that they can try and get a full-on push. If not, at least a couple kills.
Snow Tsunami showing us why they have been consistently a top 2 team in the Evil 8 in the live championships, and why this split was really an aberration for them. And AngryPandasBlack have always been on the edge of that professional play. They've always been just about there, not quite able to make it, and have to feel perhaps this week this opportunity is not their shot at glory. Once again, it looks like they're going to fall down. They still got the chance. They're only 1 game down in a best of 5 series, so Snow Tsunami still need to win 2 games to clean this one up, but already looking like they could take this one.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't put them. I wouldn't say it's that bad yet for Angry Pandas in game 2 here. Araxi obviously has a huge lead right now because he's the one who's been picking up all the kills, but this first turret is still standing 6 minutes in. Means that Look at Me on the Saw hasn't been able to snowball the game out of control just yet, and it's normally this is the point where he wants it to be snowballed out of control. So without it being a massive lead for Snow Tsunami at the 6-minute mark, that means that there is a chance for Angry Pandas to come back. You know, this Saw is going to fall off if they can't start really grouping and taking down these turrets. See the minion mine finally going to be picked up by Araxi, so he's going for he's got his first item. It is the Frostburn again. We can see Dino Egg. He's also got the Breaking Point, so very likely going to be that Breaking Point double monocle build, which means late game it will be devastating. It's just a matter of getting to the late game.
Something Angry Pandas were not able to do in the first game, but as you said, Tasty Bacon, they have got the opportunity to do it here. Look at Me will get knocked back. There's the afterburn, but Look at Me picks up a kill and will keep healing himself up as well. He goes into turret range. Will he survive? So no, the turret shot will take him down, but he took down 2 in exchange. Now Leia having to try to retreat away from Araxi and Sosiska. Sosiska not quite able to chase his fellow support down, but Araxi says, it's all right, guys, I'll push forward. Still not getting the ace though there. Minions
no
not quite
ace,
complying with Snow Tsunami.
A lot of damage being done also to Sosiska by the turret. Leia though, I don't know if he's got enough to really fully defend this. He does have Dino Egg coming back to lane along with Danir though. So have Snow Tsunami now overstayed? No, they get the kill onto Leia. Dino Egg looking for a retribution kill, but it's not going to happen. So the turret is still standing 8 minutes in. That's a good sign for Angry Pandas, but they are still losing out on these fights.
It's just a bit of an overstay from Angry Pandas every single time. Like, we saw them get the kill earlier, and then Dino Egg got taken down in lane there. They managed to hold off on the turret. They lost the initial fight. They managed to hold it off, and then Leia just stayed a little bit too long once again. And the turret, the Araxi was able to dive in underneath the turret. Leia's going to step in once again, but Look at Me, very happy to be in that bright bulwark, very happy just to be standing around, doesn't need to run away, because Danir wasn't close enough to actually be able to do anything about it.
Yeah, and that's the problem when you start fighting a spun-up Saw. If you are not a hyper carry yourself, then you are just going to be eating a ton of damage. No armor being built yet on the side of Angry Pandas. And really not a whole lot of defense either, just except for Leia. But now Angry Pandas, they're getting the pressure onto this turret. They may be the first ones to drop turret. No, they're going to back off, but they're going to be giving up at least 1 kill, perhaps more.
There's the force accord going to pull Dino Egg in. They had the death from above as well. Daenerys will escape back towards his turret, but now Snow can look for the pressure. They haven't got the ability with Leia to heal themselves up. There's no Imperial Sigil. This turret will fall. Snow Tsunami will take it. Dino Egg will get pulled in ever so slightly, but I don't think Snow Tsunami want much more of this fight. Dino Egg goes quite aggressive there, but Snow decide they don't want it, and they will just back away with the first turret of the game in a 3,000 gold lead.
At near 9.5 minutes in, still looking for his Sorrow Blade. He's just got enough gold for it now, so he needs to make his way to the shop. But that's a very, very late first item, especially when you consider Araxi is working, almost has his second tier 3 item. So Daenerys definitely has been kind of shut out on this one. 63 to 45 as far as the farm is concerned for the two junglers. Not looking great for the Pandas in that sense. But again, the later this game goes, I feel like the more it's going to start to swing towards the Pandas. Obviously, with the double weapon composition, I would expect to start seeing a ton of armor coming out from the side of Snow. I'm actually rather surprised that Look At Me's first defensive item is the Aegis being finished. But we'll see how it works out. There's going to be a defensive portal from Leia. Look At Me thought about going through it. Nope. Now is he? Nope, he's not going to. Okay.
Just trolling you, man. I'll go. No, I won't go. Daenerys gets hooked in. Now there's the wait for it as well from Dino Egg. Angry Panda's looking for a fight, but Daenerys will so low already. Dino Egg has got that first Tyrant. There's the fountain as well to heal up the AngryPandasBlack. And they should see if they can defend this turret. Snow Tsunami happy to look for the push. Look At Me will pop into the suppressing fire. There's the bright bulwark as well. So Siska pulls them all in. Dino Egg is so low. And the death from above will catch him out off towards the side. No, he dodges it. Just about able to survive.
And well, will this push and this siege continue? Or will Snow just see that they have the advantage and duck down into the jungle, start clearing away the creeps? That looks to be exactly what they're doing now with the next minion wave. They're going to continue their push. Near using the afterburn just to keep Look At Me away from the turret so that they can clear out these minions. But now Dino Egg is just so low. He's going to get dropped.
Dino Egg is dead, and now AngryPandasBlack have a huge burden on their shoulders. Snow Tsunami, they've got the gold mine here if they want it. It's fully stacked, but they've got another minion wave coming in as well. And with 9 seconds left on Dino Egg, Snow Tsunami are going to look towards that turret. There we go. Look At Me's going to get that spin up rolling. Araxi was knocked away, but Look At Me should be able to take this one down pretty much by himself. Death from above comes down as well to go for the turret. They will just back away from it for now. It looks like they're going to go for the gold mine instead.
Yeah, that's going to be the sign to call off because they are at half health. You know, this could be very risky if they stick around too much longer. Not quite able to take down the turret. They got it pretty low, but good job by Angry Pandas to focus on clearing away those minions before looking for a fight. Get the barrier back up on the turret and make it that much more difficult to be destroyed. For Dino Egg, he actually did just go and pick up a tier 2 armor. I was just going to say, you know, he's going to have plenty of damage with this build, but the defenses are lacking because that's been his problem. He's just been getting blown up in the fights.
He has got that Tyrant's monocle already, so he is at a good power position for the box, but he needs to survive for long enough to be able to actually utilize some of that damage. Look At Me has been caught out, but Dino Egg once again goes so low. So Cisco on the backline, Leia low as well. Look At Me survives, and Dino Egg now the target. He's dead. Snow Tsunami picked up 2 members. Only Daenerys left alive for the Angry Pandas. So he strikes in. There's the afterburn. Does manage to take down Look At Me, but the ace for Snow Tsunami is huge. They can push in towards this turret. They'll get this one for free, and then they can turn their attentions toward the gold mine as well.
Yeah, 13 minutes in, they'll finally get this second turret in the lane. Ace buff minions will continue to go in, get some work done on this third and final lane turret. Not going to be too much though, as Dino Egg actually throws out the weight for that. That's a pretty big cooldown to be using on a bunch of minions to have like 1 health left. So I don't know if I personally agree with it, but we'll see. They have to now.
What you're saying is it was a bad idea. Like, Tasty, just be honest, man. Just be honest. That was stupid. Literally, pop your sonar, pop your pulse, and then 1 auto attack, and they're all dead. That's how what he should have done. It's not what he did do. They're going to go for the turret here. Leia will take some pain from the side of Axie, looking for the positioning. Dino Egg step forward into Siska. Death from above will stun him up with the quibble as well, and that's already a dead Dino Egg. If only he had his ultimate ability available, perhaps he would have survived, but he didn't because he used it earlier on.
Something tells me the position he was in, he was not going to be surviving either way.
Wait for it, so Pete. Daenerys will after burn Araxi away. The fountain used. Araxi will survive. The bright bulwark comes down, and now the forward barrage from Araxi. Leia trying to take down that Sky is not going to have a good time at all. So Siska, look at me, and Araxi smell blood in the water, and that blood is Leia's at the moment. Tries to get away once again with the Imperial Sigil, will get pulled back with the Polite Company, and Leia's dead.
Yeah, he stalled out for quite a bit of time, allowed his allies to respawn and get some farm up in the lane, but it feels like every time Angry Pandas start to get just even a little bit of momentum, even though it's not necessarily getting a kill or anything like that, but once they start to be able to push out, they got that turret, immediately give up 2 kills. And they rebuff a push and then stick around a little bit too long and give up some kills. Like it feels like every time they start to do something right, they take a couple steps back as well.
And that's not what you want to be doing. If you're going forward, keep moving forward. Sometimes life will try and blow you back. Sometimes Finn will try and Polite Company you in, but you've just got to go in with that next step, although sometimes you'll miss position if you do that. So don't always follow that advice in Vainglory.
I was going to say, Dinoegg took that advice in the last fight.
Way too literally.
Pretty much in the 1v3 situation. So
he should have waited for it, but he didn't. And that was the problem with Dinoegg in the last fight. The Kraken is up. Snow Tsunami are posturing around it, but for now, look like they're just going to try and defend up this wave that AngryPandasBlack have started pushing in.
Yeah, well, there's going to be the flare, so everyone knows where each other is. That's some good damage being put down initially by Dinoegg. A little bit onto Sasiska and some bounces onto Araxi, but Leia, oh boy, that's a very dead Flyro.
Leia is dead. And now Snow Tsunami have the man advantage.
Araxi is 11-0. There's just a nightmare call out for him.
He's pretty godly at the moment.
I mean, you could even say he's a nightmare for Angry Pandas.
Could Angry Pandas wish they were dreaming right now because they could pinch themselves and wake up, but I'm afraid it's not a dream. It is truly a nightmare that Araxi is on the Halcyon Fold and facing up against you. He's picked up 11 of his team's killed. He's been involved in 13 of them. Only 2 kills have occurred without him being there. Snow Tsunami, actually, look across the board. Only Look at Me has been involved in less than 13 of their 15 kills. So it's just such good team synergy from them. They're not playing 1v1 meta. They're playing 3v3, trying to pick up these kills where they can. Sasiska looking for a good force accord here. Will get spotted out by the flare, but they have the Kraken pushing in, and Snow Tsunami are looking for the win here.
And it's the double weapon composition just not quite working out for Angry Pandas. The armor has started to come through in tier 3 forms for Snow as well. That's a death from above. It will stun Leia. And they're just got the portal out, and this Kraken is still pushing in. Look at Me is virtually untouched on the front lines. I don't think he actually meant to go through that portal, but
yeah, sometimes you have to, man. Style points. Now you're thinking with portals, and now Tsunami are thinking towards the win. The Kraken's about to fall. They don't actually have... They don't have any minions, of course, because they stopped from spawning, but...
Look at Me doesn't even care. Yeah. Look at that. He's just destroying this turret right through that barrier. It doesn't even matter. That's a lot of damage coming out, though.
Yeah, Wait For It has come down. Look at Me will actually fall, and now Araxi has to defend. He jumps back. There's the death from above as well, and now Angry Panda is going to try and get on towards that Sky. Breaking points completed on Look at Me. Interesting itemization choice by him, but the itemization choice doesn't really matter, as Snow Tsunami do get aced. They went a little bit too far. Look at Me a little bit too brave, trying to take out that turret with no Kraken and no minions there to defend.
I mean, he got the turret. It's an exposed vein crystal now. So I think it's not the worst situation for Snow to give up the ace there. I think they definitely could have gotten out and just left Look at Me, let him be the sacrifice as they get that final turret. But Sasiska and Araxi, they wanted to try and turn that fight back around once more, see if they couldn't end the game then and there, but they aren't able to hold off against the Pandas. So Pandas do get themselves an ace, a little sign of life for them, a glimmer of hope. They are still down by a little over 3,000 gold, though. And with the infusions coming out, I mean, if they can get a fight in their favor, if they can just jump onto either Araxi or Look at Me and blow them up, they could potentially turn this around still. but with an exposed crystal, you just have to always be wondering and always be wary of that heavy, hard push of the side from Snow. You know, they could at any point just try and sneak through the jungle and go in for that back door. There's a lot of these scout traps going to get popped that had been put down by Angry Pandas just to make sure that that doesn't happen. Denier, though, ooh, he's in a pretty bad spot, but he's able to survive. There's going to be the minion mine getting picked up. This is now going to mean that the minions will be always pushing in favor of Snow until one of those two gets recaptured. Kraken back up, and we could be looking towards a very volatile final fight.
Angry Pandas have to, they're going to push out the minion wave to make sure that although minions are pushing towards them, it's not going to be pushing towards their crystal for now. And the Kraken has been started here by Snow Tsunami. They have to fight this. They have to go for something. Angry Pandas off towards the side.
Oh, they're going for it. Snow is going for it.
Have Angry Pandas realizes they haven't backed yet. They haven't backed. Angry Pandas do not know this is happening.
They have. Well, now they do, and it's going to be way too late. This is a weapon saw that is just going to melt through this crystal. It doesn't matter.
Games, boys.
That. Oh my goodness! What a call from Snow Tsunami, realizing that they had the positional advantage and just immediately going for the push, going for the end, and getting it. 20 minutes on the dot. Snow Tsunami pick up the win in game number 2.
And it's just mind games. They just outplay them across the map. You look at it, at the end of the game, Finn had both a metal jacket and an atlas. They didn't need to do anything apart from build armor. And when you're playing something like breaking point into double time, it's
like Angry Pandas maybe didn't want that to be the ban. But either way, that is the ban. You know, it was locked in already, so you got to go with it.
Oh, so that's why they reset.
I think, from what I could gather from the brief
at the end of the last game as well, I think it was Denier was saying, why do you keep banning Lance? And Leia was saying, oh, I just really don't like Lance.
So they should figure out.
There is perhaps a little bit of... it could just be joking, though, you know? It does happen, you know, people troll us.
Mind games. It's all about the
mind games.
Well, either way, we'll see if the mind games come through. Tony Luo gets his Taka.
He does. And you are incredibly excited about that. I am not quite as excited because Snow Tsunami here have the opportunity to pick both their core heroes to counteract that Taka. And I think you pick a Pestle if you look at me. And I think if you're you pick a Fortress apparently. And a Vox. So, yeah. I don't really know what to say about that.
Well, I'm just excited because Tony Luo is like literally almost synonymous with Taka, essentially. Like, if there's a Tony Luo, if he's going to play Taka if it's available. So that's why I'm excited to see the Taka. Fortress, though, like you said, can do very well against Taka. Similar reason as why Petal does, just not as frequently. Is that those wolves will follow Taka regardless of if he's invisible or not. And so right now for the side of Pandas, they're going to finish out the composition with the Catherine and Sky as their other picks to go along with the Taka. It's a very squishy composition on the side of Snow Tsunami this time around.
Yeah, incredibly squishy. I think Snow Tsunami are just going for the early win. We've seen them do it time after time. They'll scale up this Vox relatively well into the late game. I haven't seen a huge amount of Jungle Fortress on this current patch. And it looks like it might even be Crystal Power Jungle Fortress. So, going to be an interesting one coming out from Look at Me. I'm actually very excited to see how it works and how effective it can be into this Taka.
Well, either way, regardless of how the compositions look, it's also forced another change on the side of Snow Tsunami, as it is Look at Me in the jungle with Araxi going up into the lane. So Tony Luo being substitute here, forcing some changes out of Snow Tsunami perhaps. You have to see what kind of effect that will have on the game going forward, because it's do or die really for Angry Pandas here.
Yeah, they've got to win this one, otherwise they are out of the challenge battles, and Snow Tsunami solidify their position. Dino Egg already taking damage from Look at Me. Does pop that forward barrage and will get some pain down in response, but Sasiska doing work with those Principum Arcanum auto attacks as well. Tony Lu's going to jump in. Not going to be able to do too much, and actually looks like we're going to see a Weapon Power Sky coming out here. It's gone double Weapon Blade as her first 2 items.
Yeah, so we'll see if Tony Luo is going to be making this a weapon power Taka, or if it will be the CP Taka that we saw in our first series, have mixed success. Araxi, though, is going to be chasing and kiting Tony Luo into the entirety of Snow Tsunami. Leia is just too far forward, and he is going to be going down.
Yeah, he does fall, as will Tony Luo. No! Tony Luo just... Oh, no, he dies to the burn, and the auto attacks coming out from Sisiska. Just too darn powerful from Team Snow Tsunami. And once again, 2 minutes in, and we already say Snow Tsunami have a couple of kills under their belt.
Yeah, it really does feel like those early jungle fights are so heavily in favor of Snow Tsunami. Each of the 3 games now, they have really just taken control right off the bat. And we'll see if they can hold on to it. They need to just continue to keep up that kind of pressure, and they'll be going into the live championships with a 3-0.
They've got easy ability for them to continue out the pressure they've had in the last couple of games. They're 2-0 up in this series, as you said, able to do a lot of work here. And although a surprising pick, look at me's what looks to be an aftershock Fortress coming out here seems to be doing work already.
Yeah, I mean, the Crystal Fortress is something that used to get played quite a bit going back to sort of the winter season in particular. And it's kind of, I've seen it a couple of times now here in 120, but it hasn't been a prominent pick for sure. And look at me, going to be trying to change that and see if he can have a really phenomenal game with it. The damage is rather impressive from a CP Fortress, especially once you get a little later into the game. Those wolves adding to the bleeding effect and just doing so much work. Once you get that sixth stack of bleed on an opponent, the burst that comes out is very surprising at times.
Well, it's definitely the intention from Snow Tsunami. I'd like to see it work because, you know, I love ranked play enough to see Jungle Fortress come out. It's, if it doesn't work, please, everyone, anyone who sees me in game, don't pick it. That would be great. It would be very kind. I don't want to lose my worthy foe status. Okay, I worked hard for that.
Well, that's I'll leave that to you and your solo queue opponents. For now, it's going to be all about Snow Tsunami trying to just get the pressure onto Angry Panda's Tony Luo, jumping up into this lane. He's going to get a little bit of damage on it. It is going to be a weapon Taka, and there is a crystal bit for a Dino Egg, so perhaps it going just a couple weapon blades early just to try and get that early jungle clear and early fights. Obviously didn't work out for them, but maybe switching up into the crystal now that they have fallen behind a little bit.
I think Crystal Sky makes more sense in this composition than the Crystal Taka. You're not really going to be able to burst down the Lyra, or perhaps the Vox okay, but she can always Sonic Zoom around, so I think the sustained damage coming out from attack is a bit more important. The Crystal Sky is going to be quite far behind because you've got those double weapon blades, so it will take you a while to actually be able to stack up and get enough crystal power behind you.
Well, I mean, the fights haven't really been happening thus far in Game 3 here, and it's both teams seem to be playing just a little bit more cautiously going into this one. 5 minutes in, and still only have those first 2 kills that came out very early in the jungle. Angry Panda's doing a good job of not going too aggressive and getting themselves into positions where they end up giving up a few more kills. But now, Leia may have spoken a little bit too soon.
Yeah, as you say it, Leia steps forward. They won't be able to chase her down because has those boots available, so that Catherine escapes towards safety. We do see Dino Egg actually in the enemy jungle, just taking away as many camps as he can. Not going to be caught out there at all, but Snow Tsunami are going to look for the double minion mine, and whenever they do this, it means they are sizing themselves up for a push on towards that turret. Leia's going to come down and spot them out, and Tony Lu's going to join the fray as well. Dino Egg off towards the side, can catch out on towards the Siska, who's going to have to use that Imperial Sigil to try and speed himself up, but the death from above comes down, doesn't catch out. Look at me, they do pick up their first kill. Tony Lu's going to chase, and actually, Araxi's just said, nope, going for the turret, boys, I'm going to try and get that one up. Look at me, picked up the aftershock, but will get taken out, and it's 2 kills already for AngryPandasBlack, and now Araxi steps forward once again. Leia's going to come in from the side. Doesn't have that merciless pursuit up, so won't be able to stun up the Vox.
Yeah, weapon power Vox, so we'll have a little bit better time trying to work on the turrets and the objectives, but not quite getting enough done to take that turret. Gets it down to about half. But I mean, sacrificing 2 of your allies in order to get half of a turret. I mean, I don't think he would have been able to impact the first death, but definitely could have tried to rotate down to help out on the second one. Instead, just working on that turret, getting this farm, and like you said, just kind of abandoning his teammates and saying, you know, you guys are on your own.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, teammates just have to understand you make a mistake. I'm not here to save you. I'm not here to babysit you. This is a team game, but if you're awful, I'm just going to leave you to sacrifice yourself for the good of my farm, and that's what exactly he was doing there. You know, he's got that slight CS advantage over Tony Lu. It's actually about 23 CS ahead. Dino Egg sitting on 54. He's got a 20 CS advantage over Look At Me. So good positions for the jungler on the side of AngryPandasBlack, and then the laner on the side of Tsunami. However, as we get towards the late game, both these compositions have very interesting styles of play. You've got the Sky, who's all about hanging back, repositioning the fight. You've got Tony Lu as well on that Taka, who's all about jumping into the backline and trying to put the damage down, whereas Tsunami have a very chasing team. They can either try and kite backwards with that attack of the pack. Tony Lu actually goes very low. Araxi's going to run in. We'll spot out Dino Egg as well, who does just get that forward barrage down. Look At Me is going to jump in once again. They might actually be able to get the turret here because Leia is off towards the side. Attack of the pack comes out from Tsunami, and they're just going to go for the turret. Now Leia up towards the front line of this fight might actually go quite low. Is able to retreat his way away. Tsunami pick up the first turret of the game.
And that's the one downside, or the big downside, I guess I should say, of the Snow Tsunami composition. They have absolutely no hard CC on their team, so it's actually kind of tough for them to lock down an opponent, even if they catch them out of position.
They can lock him down if Leia takes the passage in the wrong direction. Absolutely did not mean to click on the passage there. He does survive, and so Cisco will actually fall in this fight, but that was pure fortune there for AngryPandasBlack. Tony Lu's going to try and get on towards Araxi. Has that Kaisen up, will jump across the box. There's the X-Ray 2 as well, and Araxi will go down. Now Look At Me steps forward and will get taken out as well. It's an ace for AngryPandasBlack, and they're back into this series.
Yeah, they are looking good in this one. Tony Luo perhaps being that game changer that they needed with this Taka. They're going to get the ace. That means they're going to grab this gold mine. It is a full gold miner. They're not actually going to put too much attention up onto the turret. So that gold will still be available. But I actually like the decision to not necessarily rush down that turret. That gold will be there for you to take at any point. The gold miner and these backs that Tony Luo just stole away will not always be there. So Cisco, though, finds Tony Luo, gets that slow with that heroic perk, but Tony Luo just says, you know what, I have long-range jumps, and I can use minions to do that. Leia, though.
Once again, getting caught out, trying to go for those camps. Attack of the pack comes out. Leia will fall here, and they might actually be able to chase it down more because of those wolves. Gonna see if they can get onto Dino Egg. Death from above comes out. We'll take down the wolf as well. There's the arcane passage across the wall. Who are they going to go for here? It looks like they're aiming for Dino Egg. They'll take away the Treant. Dino Egg's going to try and retreat. He's level 10. He's got a big advantage here, but they should be able to take him out with 3 members. Wait for it comes out. The silence down as well. So he strike from Dino Egg to try and keep himself alive. The fountain used, and Araxi will jump in. Dino Egg, not long for the forward at all, will fall. And once again, Snow Tsunami get themselves back into this matchup.
Yeah, while they don't have any hard CC, there's a lot of mobility between the Sigil and, actually Araxi and Tony Luo going at it in the lane, but Tony Luo is the one that has to run.
Yeah, Tony Luo does have that Kaku, so can just get himself away, but sitting on a Solar Blade, a coat of plates as well. Just finished up that Atlas instead. Now Fountain on towards Leia, exactly what we expect. Looks like he's building towards a contraption, and Dino Egg has that Frostburn. Looks like he's building towards a Broken Myth.
And then with the Broken Myth after the Frostburn, that will be some really solid damage coming out of Dino Egg. I like picking up the Frostburn there, as it will allow the extra slows that they don't have otherwise. And they're going to be going in looking for a fight, though.
That they are. AngryPandasBlack are trying to seize on their opportunities. So Cisco off towards the side. Dino Egg goes low, and Dino Egg will fall. Araxi now jumping around the fight to see if he can get away from Tony Lu. Leia there as well. Tony Lu is so low. Will get taken out by Cisco at the end. And Leia, the last man standing, once again for the AngryPandasBlack, trying to retreat his way away. But you can't get away from Look At Me, who says, "Look at me, I will be your death." On the fortress. It's another ace for Snow Tsunami as they get back into this game. They managed to come back from behind once again, and they're looking towards this turret.
Yeah, able to find that ace, answering the ace that Angry Pandas were just able to pick up. However, Dino Egg is here. He's going to use that from above to farm up those minions and make sure that they aren't going to lose out on the second turret. And it's still a slight advantage for Snow Tsunami, despite the fact that Pandas were able to take a fight. It's always a good sign for a team when they get aced and then just immediately come back and pick up an ace for themselves. It means you're not going to be feeling the effects of the previous fight. You know, you can just get past it very quickly and just continue to look forward and try and do what you want to do. If you come out and you give up an ace and then you aren't able to find a fight shortly after, or you give up more kills immediately after, that can really start to wear and grate on you mentally.
It definitely can. It's something we've seen Angry Pandas fall foul to time and time again. They have started completing those second tier 3 items though. Broken Myth, they've got the Atlas on Tony Lua, and then the Crucible finished just now onto Leia as well. Snow Tsunami are looking for this gold mine. It is fully stacked, so give him a good portion of gold. And Look at Me will be able to pick up his Broken Myth off that as well. So he'll be in a good position to start fighting out these matchups. The question is, can Angry Pandas Black get the engage they want? They've got a level 12 Sky. That Sky is absolutely huge. The wait for it's going to come down. Dino Egg will take the silence. Here's the attack of the pack as well. It looks like Look at Me was off towards the wrong side. Leia takes some pain, but Siska is the lowest man. Now Araxi's jumped on by Tony Lua and Leia, but Araxi jumps off towards the side. Dino Egg trying to get back into the fight, seeing what he can do for the Angry Pandas Black here. So he strikes in, will fall so low, but he'll take down Look at Me, and Siska and Araxi have to back away. Not able to get a kill out of that fight. They got all of the Angry Pandas incredibly low, but weren't able to solidify any of those kills.
Yeah, these fights are being very heavily contested at the moment. The builds are very close to even as a result of the gold only being about 1,000 in favor of Snow Tsunami. And you can see the defensive items really starting to work out on each side as well. There's Taka having the Atlas Pauldron means that he can jump in, get onto Araxi, and pop that. It means Araxi's damage is going to be significantly reduced, and it becomes very much a damage over time sort of composition for Snow Tsunami, which is not what you want when you have a weapon power Vox. You want Vox to be able to jump in and just delete his targets with just a couple of basic attacks. But when it takes that much longer to get those attacks off, it just slows down the damage output and allows the healing and from the Fountain of Renewal to come through for Angry Pandas, keep them in the fight long enough to get those Broken Myth stacks for Dino Egg, and allow Tony Lua to use his abilities multiple times.
And that's exactly what they want. They want that Tony Lua just to be able to do all the work he can on this Taka, because they need this game. They need to get back into this best of 5. At the moment, they're 2-0 down. Leia just about able to retreat from the truth of the tooth. I can never get this. It's like a little tongue twister, you know? Truth of the tooth, law of the claw, attack of the pack. Attack of the pack is the only one I can do easily.
Well, it's I can do them, but only because we had 3-4 seasons to get it down. So it definitely takes a while. It's not exactly an easy set of ability names. So, but right now, Goldmine is gonna be going over a decent gold payout right before Kraken spawns. And Angry Pandas, they want this fight.
There's the blast tremor. The attack of the pack comes out, and Look at Me. He's going to try and jump on towards the backline, but Araxi taken low already by Tony Lua. Has to try and retreat. Dino Egg will fall. Can Look at Me now turn on towards that Tacker and take him down? He tries to Kaku, but there's the bright bulwark, and the Tacker will fall. It's only Leia left alive, and Angry Pandas fall one by one. All of the damage coming down onto Leia now. Snow Tsunami able to pick up the ace once again. They'll turn straight on towards the Kraken, and they can push towards those turrets as well.
And that was just the unfortunate situation for Pandas. Tony Lua, again, jumping onto Araxi, isn't quite able to take him out 100-0 because he has the Sorrow Blade, but then went for 2 tier 3 defensive items. So not quite having the damage needed to assassinate his target. Meanwhile, Look at Me is just all over Dino Egg and just blowing him up. Even with Dino Egg having some shield, it's just not enough. That bleeding is just too much. And once Dino Egg is down, it just becomes a relatively easy cleanup for the side of Snow. They get the Kraken unleashed as well as taking down that second turret. So Kraken will only have 3 turrets that she will have to work through. All of Snow Tsunami are going to be up there pushing with her. They don't have infusions on everyone, so Siska doesn't have one, and the one on Araxi will be wearing off very shortly. Leia, the only member of Angry Pandas to not have an infusion, but Snow, are they going to look for this fight?
They are going to look for the fight, and there we go. They're going to have the Kraken pushing in once again. Snow Tsunami with the turret there, looking just to wait for it to go down more than anything else. Leia actually gets jumped on, but here comes Tony Lu onto Araxi, the fountain used. Tony Lu has to retreat away from the wait for it. Attack of the pack used now. Leia once again on the back foot. Turret has fallen. Leia's going to get jumped on. He almost goes down, just about survives. We'll get back towards the sanctuary, and now Snow Tsunami needs to be careful. They haven't got a fountain, but another 44 seconds, and Tony Lu's going to jump in on towards Araxi, who might just about get away. No, he falls. Tony Lu's going to chase. Look at me now. And there is the stun as well. We actually see them going and deciding they want to take down the Kraken before it takes down the base. Look at me should be able to get away from Leia, but Tony Lu is going to chase down Siska, who's just trying to distract here as much as possible. The Kraken is still pounding away at those base turrets. And now look at me, still being chased out by Leia. Pops the attack of the pack. Could actually probably turn that one round if he wanted to. Kraken will fall before it takes down the second crystal turret, and Angry Pandas keep themselves alive in this best of 5.
Yeah, that turret is extremely low, though. It's not going to take much for Snow Tsunami to be able to drop that one. And as close as this game is, as much as Angry Pandas have been able to stay in this one, they haven't even taken that first turret yet. It is still standing, so they have a lot of work that they still need to do. Even if they were to pick up an ace, it would not be the game, because just there's so much still left on the fold for that Pandas have to work through, and it's not looking terribly great for them. The last couple of fights have gone in favor of Snow. Snow only has that last turret remaining, and now could potentially be looking for this final fight for them, because if they win one, it's over.
Definitely is. There's the attack of the pack once more. Angry Pandas retreating as the 3-man wait for it comes. Angry Pandas have done a good job to get away from this fight. They're going to jump in, though. The X-Retsu from Tony Lu will get spotted out. Imperial Sigil. Now Tony Lu is so low. One more auto attack will take him down, but he just about survives with the Kaku. He comes out. Can he join the fight again? Dino Egg having to retreat off towards the side. Tony Lu is dead, and this must spell the end for the Angry Pandas back. Leia is going to get taken out as well by Snow Tsunami. Only Dino Egg left alive to try and defend the 3 members of Snow Tsunami. Can he do it? Well, all of Angry Pandas' hopes and dreams are relying on him. Dino Egg gets the full barrage down, has the infusion. There's the arcane passage, right? Bulwark comes out, attack of the pack up once again. There's the death from above, but Dino Egg jumps in with a Suri strike. He won't even take down one man. Snow Tsunami are going to take the game. They'll take a 3-0 convincingly here versus Angry Pandas Black as well, and they'll stay in the Evil 8.
Yeah, Angry Pandas, they put up a fight in game number 3, but in the end, it was not meant to be. Snow Tsunami retains their spot in the Evil 8, will be getting an invite to a spot in the Evil 8 and an invite to the Live Championships. Unfortunately, it is the one that was kind of given the